Hi, it's Katrina. Number 10. Secret Science of the Indians. Some legends claim that the Varamurthiswarar temple in India is 6,000 years old. However, more reasonable estimates place the temple at only 1,000 years old, existing in the Chola period of ancient India. But regardless of how old the temple is, the carvings on its walls are baffling. There are carved images of human fertilization made long before the discovery of the microscope. The images at the temple appear to show eggs being inseminated. If true, it would suggest the ancient Indians who built the temple had knowledge of how babies are made inside the human body. Yet that would be impossible, because without access to modern medical equipment, there was no way they could have seen what was going on inside a woman when she was pregnant. And what's even crazier is that in the state of Tamil Nadu, there is a sculpture of a human embryo in Kalabhairava Natha temple. Maybe the carvings of eggs being inseminated are misinterpreted, but the embryo is difficult to see as anything else. It was likely carved in the 10th century, showing how a baby grows inside the womb. What scientists fail to understand, though, is how anyone could have knowledge of embryonic growth 1,000 years ago. How did they have such advanced knowledge of human anatomy and the creation of human life so long ago? These images carved so perfectly suggest seriously advanced knowledge of human anatomy, so how do you think they did it? Or do you think it means something else entirely? Let me know in the comments. Number 9. The Harald Skare Woman. The Harald Skare Woman was discovered in 1835 by workers excavating peat in Denmark. And to this day, she is one of the strangest examples of an ancient bog body. Her remains date back to 490 BC, kept preserved due to the acids found inside the peat bog. Her skin rotted and turned black, but it didn't fall off completely. Her skeleton is fully intact, along with her skin and internal organs. The Harald Skare Woman is one of the most perfectly preserved human bodies from the 5th century BC. She is so important that she's on permanent display, stashed in a glass sarcophagus in the Cultural Museum in Denmark. The mystery nobody has ever been able to solve is why she was thrown into a bog 25,000 years ago. She was discovered naked with her clothes piled on top of her body pinned in the bog by wooden stakes. Doctors confirmed that she died at around the age of 50, and she was in perfectly good health. She did suffer from arthritis, but was otherwise fine. In 1979, researchers from Aarhus Hospital did a full forensic examination on the Harald Skare Woman. Doctors estimated her height at about 4'11", and it was also revealed that she had blackberries and millet, a fast-growing cereal plant, in her stomach. But the most horrific discovery of all was the groove around her neck, suggesting that she'd been strangled with a rope, likely as part of a torture proceeding. The typical means of burial was cremation 2,500 years ago, and in Denmark, people were burned after death, and then their ashes were interred somewhere else. The general conclusion of the Harald Skare Woman, considering she was tortured and dumped in a bog, is that she was the victim of ritual sacrifice. Number 8. Roman Arts and Crafts. When it comes to discoveries from ancient Rome, people tend to get excited over lost temples and forgotten tombs. But archaeologists in France have found something highly unusual, and people are thrilled about it, to say the least. They discovered a preserved Roman craft center. Researchers uncovered evidence of shoemakers, glassmakers, butchers, and other folk who participated in crafting activities. The discovery was made in an ancient commune on the river Lys. The Romans invaded the area in 53 BC, and they named the commune Tarvena. Then, over the following few centuries, the commune became a bustling Roman city. Archaeologists revealed its ruins ahead of the construction of a wastewater treatment plant. 10 feet underneath compacted silt from a dried river was the craft district, hidden for an estimated 1,700 years. But what kinds of crafts were happening here? Tanning, glue manufacturing, and leather processing was all being done here. And archaeologists also found fragments of blue glass, coins, brooches, and tons of other random bronze objects, as well as metal rods, large fishing hooks, and plates. This was a fully functioning district where all the bits and pieces of Roman life were crafted by skilled artisans. These individuals were essential, not just for the Roman economy, but for the success of the Roman Empire as a whole. Without the crafts district, the Romans wouldn't have had all their luxury goods or their shoes. Number 7. Shamanic Hallucinogens. During an archaeological dig in Cueva del Chileno, an ancient rock shelter used by humans in the Amazon basin, anthropologists found something strange. José Capriles, an anthropologist from Penn State University, discovered a small pouch made from fox snouts. Somebody sewed a bunch of snouts together to make a little baggie. This discovery would be weird enough on its own, but it's what the lab found inside the pouch that's really outrageous. Interestingly, scientists identified trace remnants of drugs. More specifically, they found hallucinogenic drugs derived from psychoactive plants used in shamanistic rituals. The ingredients found inside the pouch include modern ingredients that are still used in the production of ayahuasca for ritual ceremonies. The rock shelter was inhabited by humans about 4,000 years ago, and at some point it was converted into a tomb. Looters then showed up 1,000 years ago to steal the bodies, but nobody knows why. The looters also left behind what they thought was trash. They left braids of human hair, shiny beads, and the fox snout pouch. It's a huge mystery because nobody can recreate what happened in the cave. Grave robbers were getting high on natural hallucinogens, including things like cocaine and DMT. But why? What do you think the grave robbers were doing? Were they just partying? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And while you're at it, be sure to subscribe. Number 6. Bone armor. Anyone who's ever played video games knows bone armor is the best. But what might come as a surprise to you is that people really did wear bone armor in the past. Archaeologists in Siberia recently discovered a full suit of bone armor once worn by an elite warrior. The unique set of armor dates back to the Bronze Age, about 3,500 years ago. It was found buried 5 feet underground, and it was uncovered near a sanitarium, where there are plans to construct a 5-star hotel. That sounds like a recipe for a haunting. Archaeologists are flabbergasted at the discovery. They say most artifacts found in this particular part of Siberia, near Omsk, came from the Kratov culture. However, the bone armor is so special that it likely came from the lesser-known Samu-Seminskaya culture. They emerged from the Altai Mountains and migrated across Siberia. The bone armor is so impressive, archaeologists believe it must have been a gift or a spoil of war. Curator of excavations Boris Konnikov says bone armor was highly valued. He says it was more precious than life, since it could be used to preserve life. But what is the armor made of exactly? It's exactly what you think. The armor was made from a variety of animal bones, mostly from deer and elk. Different parts of the skeleton were joined together to give the warrior his own second skeleton. Walking around covered in another animal's bones would have given the warrior huge protection against the primitive bronze knives and stone arrowheads of the time. Number 5. The Maya Underworld. South of the small Mexican town of Del Chaquillo, researchers discovered the entrance to the underworld. Archaeologist Bradley Russell and a group of divers entered the mouth of the underworld and descended 65 feet into the dark unknown. Of course, they didn't actually descend all the way to the realm of the dead. They simply dove down into a sinkhole known as a cenote that the ancient Maya believed led to the abyss of death. Even thousands of years after the Maya civilization collapsed, the cenote is still viewed as evil. Local people refuse to drink water from the cenote, and it still has negative connotations all these years later. This is because the local belief is that the cenote is full of malevolent forces. The mouth to hell was found outside the ruins of the classical Maya city of Mayapan. It was an extremely important city to the Maya with massive walls surrounding it. Having walls around the city wasn't something the Maya did very often, showing how important this place was to them. Inside the city are multiple cenotes, but there is something weird about the newly discovered sinkhole. The ancient wall makes a dramatic turn to avoid the cenote, keeping it separated from the ones in the city on purpose. Scientists didn't realize why until they dove down to the bottom and found human remains. The Maya appeared to have been dumping human bodies in the cenote. They may have even believed that they were sending the corpses straight into the underworld by chucking the deceased individuals into the sinkhole. Number 4. Mummy juice. One of the most extraordinary Chinese mummies is the Taizhou mummy. In 2011, road workers accidentally found the unknown tomb of a mystery woman. They were working on the road when they broke through to a burial chamber that hadn't seen the light of day in 700 years. Inside the tomb was the body of a woman from the Ming Dynasty, and the biggest shock was that her body was found to be remarkably preserved. Inside her stone sarcophagus, she was discovered submerged in a mysterious and very creepy reddish-brown liquid. The Taizhou mummy still has her hair, her skin, and her jewelry. Her eyelashes are impeccable, and so too are her eyebrows. She was buried with enough treasure that scientists suspect she was extremely important. But she wasn't quite as important as royalty. She may have been a rich civilian, but nobody really knows. Her tomb contained ceramics, books, and relics, and the disgusting water in her sarcophagus may have been groundwater that seeped in over the centuries. But scientists suspect it may have also been used as a kind of mummy juice to keep her preserved. Either way, the Taizhou mummy has only raised more questions than answers. Number 3. The Sultan Sword. A sword was just sold at an auction in London for an unprecedented $17.5 million. It's the sword of an ancient sultan that was initially estimated to sell for $2.5 million. But the bidding war that ensued turned the weapon into the most expensive sword ever. According to the Sword Encyclopedia, the most expensive sword ever sold was the Boateng saber in 2008, which was purchased for $7.7 million. The Sultan Sword, however, just beat that record by $10 million. You're likely wondering whose sword this was and what kind of magical powers it has. Oliver White, the auctioneer and head of Islamic and Indian art, says the sword is the greatest of all weapons that belong to Tipu Sultan. Tipu Sultan ruled India in the 18th century, but on May 4, 1799, he was defeated by British forces. It marked the end of his rule and another stage of British domination. Legend has it the sword was manufactured by the best Mughal swordsmiths as a weapon of God. There is beautiful gold calligraphy on the sword and invocations calling God by name. Then, in 1799, the weapon was given to David Baird, the leader of the British forces. If you had the money, would you consider purchasing an ancient sword? Let me know in the comments. Number 2. Game of Runes. In 997 AD, Viking king Olaf Tryggvason founded the medieval trading post of Copenhagen. The settlement emerged as the capital of Norway and was the most important Nordic city until Oslo, which is still the capital today. Recently, a team of excavators were poking around in preparation to repair a sewer pipe in the ancient city when they found pits that were dug in the 11th and 12th centuries. One of the pits had a couple of gaming pieces in it. The pieces were part of an ancient Viking board game crafted from solid soapstone. And while archaeologists find old game pieces all the time, these ones proved unique. Runologist Karen Holmqvist confirmed that the weird patterns on the pieces are runes. One of them was translated into English as Sigifer, which archaeologists think might be short for someone's name, maybe a Sigrid or a Sigurd. There is only one other ancient gaming piece in Norway with runes on it. The discovery is big news, and scientists are scrambling to come up with theories. The rune may have been the name of the player or maybe the nickname of the playing piece, but scientists don't even know what game the Vikings were playing with their little soapstone pieces. Number 1. The Ritual Goddess. A hoard of extremely unusual ritual artifacts was recently found in a Ukrainian cave. Archaeologists from the Borschiv Regional Museum traveled deep into Verteba Cave, and it was there that they came across lost relics of the Neolithic Cucuteni Tripilia culture. This culture emerged in Eastern Europe about 7,500 years ago, and over the next 3,000 years, they spread from the Carpathian Mountains through Romania, Moldova, and Ukraine. Their culture has baffled scientists for years because of what they did with their settlements. They would build something like a small village and live in it for 80 years. Then they'd burn it to the ground. Scholars can't agree on a reason why the culture was so intent on burning their settlements after a century. Scientists also say that as the culture advanced, they began to build cities. One of those cities was Talyanki, which scholars believe may have been bigger than some of the earliest city-states in Mesopotamia. The Cucuteni Tripilia culture is still a major mystery. Scientists don't know much about their religious practices, but the findings in the cave suggest they participated in bizarre rituals. The team found a niche in a cave wall filled with small clay figurines. And amazingly, the figurines were carved in the likeness of an unknown goddess. There was definitely some weird religious stuff happening in the cave at some point, and it had to do with the worship of an unnamed deity. Thanks for watching! Which of these bizarre discoveries did you find the most exciting? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already and give this video a thumbs up for more. See you next time. Bye!